Taste sugar in that. Taste sugar in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You put the sugar into the Bernays reduction first, rather than the other bomb.
Don't forget, once I finish plating, you literally have 10 seconds to finish yours. Guys, it is 100% crucial that you keep up with me at this point. Remove the chips from your fryer. They should be golden brown, but they should be a nice deep golden brown. Now, this is where I'd stop slowing down. So get that food on the plate as fast as you possibly can. Right, make it look super beautiful. Don't overcrowd it, guys. Make it look really pretty. Then you pick up those pickled onions. You go ahead and you just place those wherever you think it looks really nice.
It's a massive rush to the end. It's a panicked rush. I need to make sure my plate looks just like Curtis's.
Come on, Mindy, come on!
It's undercooked.
Guys, I'm 5 seconds off finishing it.
I see Curtis is nearly finishing his plate. I'm a bit worried. I'm just trying to put everything on the plate to make it look good.
Okay, guys, porterhouse with béarnaise sauce, twice cooked potatoes and broccoli. You have 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Well done.
Holy crap.
This is something that not many people get to experience in their lives, and to be honest, I'm not sure if they would want to, because it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I am proud that I kept up with Curtis, but, you know, overall I'm disappointed.
Really badly I want this immunity pin, but everyone did really well, so this just comes down to taste. Whew. No, so bad.
Looking at the dish, I think I did okay. You know, getting the pin at this stage is such huge validation that you're meant to be here.
Thanks, mate.
Appreciate it.
To have Curtis in here today, it's so overwhelming. I really can't believe it. It's just an amazing experience to be able to cook for one of my heroes, and I just hope I've done it justice.
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Don't worry.
Oh, thanks, Steve. Dry your eyes.
Well, there you have it. Curtis, that looks incredible. How was that for you?
It was fun, really fun. I wanted to do something that was relatively achievable for them, but still something that shows them a little process and shows them a little technique. So, yeah, they kept up. I was impressed.
I think you underestimate the complexity. I mean, when you think about it, there's a lot of processes in there, and they all struggled at one point or another.
That's what's exciting about this. There's so many comparison points. The chips, are they crunchy and are they fluffy inside? The cooking of the steak, the acidity and the texture of the béarnaise. Lots of things where they can all succeed or fail. And I think we're going to see a really tight run just walking down the line.
Well, I think we should taste Curtis's first to know where the benchmark is, and then we'll get the first plate in. Wow.
What a lovely dish, and perfectly balanced. I love béarnaise, and it's so beautifully made, Curtis. And things you notice, steak, just that method of cooking it over the grill, where it's beautifully pink all the way through. Crisp potatoes, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well done.
Thanks.
I think the things that are so standout about Curtis's dish, the acidity and the satin smooth texture of the béarnaise, the char on the broccolini, which brings you a little bit of bitterness as well, and of course the golden crunch and the puffiness, fluffiness of the inside of those potatoes. That's what I'm looking for from our 4 contestants.
Right, shall we get the first dish in?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
To go from being 5 minutes behind and having to make my potatoes a second time and still make a complete dish, I'm pretty proud of myself. But to serve Curtis one of his own dishes, terrifying.
Tim, how was that for you?
It was hectic. It was really gives you an idea of the pressure in this kitchen.
Yeah.
And what is asked of us. But I think it was amazing to really get in there and give this cook a crack. And obviously with Curtis out the front, what more could I ask for? A hell of a work experience.
Did you think that you weren't going to get finished?
Yeah, I was worried. But I took some deep breaths and sort of just started to realise where I am and the opportunity that I've been given. I mean, this is MasterChef, and I'm not here just to make up the numbers. I'm here to give it a shake-up, have a crack at it, and I'm just happy I managed to get all the elements on the plate.
In terms of getting there, and actually when you were a couple of times you dropped way behind.
Yes.
You must have been impressed to see Tim pull himself back, Curtis.
I really was, yeah.
Thanks,
We're
boys.
going to taste now.
All right, thank you very much.
Well done, Tim.
Good on you.
Curtis, what do you think?
Look, I think it's impressive that he got all the elements on the plate, to be honest with you, seeing the position he was in. You know, it looks a bit like the pub version of my dish, and the good news is I love eating in pubs and it looks really delicious.
Yeah. Taste sugar in that. Taste sugar in that.
Yeah.
You put the sugar into the Bernays reduction first, rather than the other bomb.
You can taste the sweetness in the Bernays, yeah. But I can totally forgive the sweetness of the Bernays because it would have been in the pickle. And the way Tim's cooked that steak, caramelised beautifully on the outside, still pink and juicy, very, very nice. All in all, I think it's a really good attempt.
Yeah.
2 successes on the plate for me, chips and the beef. So chips crispy, golden brown, fluffy in the centre. And the steak, when I first looked at it, I thought, oh, maybe he's overcooked that, but he hasn't at all. The fact that he trimmed all the fat off, because there's plenty of intracellular fat in that steak, it's really moist, really delicious.
Those chips are a knockout.
Yeah, and look, if this was a chip challenge, he would be almost unbeatable because those chips are, you couldn't get them better, you couldn't get them crunchier, couldn't get them fluffier. Absolutely perfect. But the question is that Bernays texture is great, but it's sweet.
Can we forgive him for the sweetness?
Right, let's get the next dish in.
It could give me a confidence boost in terms of getting into the next test. So I hope judges like my steak and chips.
Oh, nice.
I like that smile, Dee. Feeling good about this?
Oh, yes, Curtis. A bit nervous.
Are you lost for words?
Sort of.
Why?
I cooked Curtis' dish.
We feel the same just sitting next to him. Pressure?
A lot of pressure to keep up with Curtis, but at the end I've got there.
What was the most challenging part of the dish for you, Dee?
I think it's the sauce, Curtis, to get the right consistency because it's really hard to whisk, so that's the challenging part.
You know what? We're going to taste your dish.
Thanks, George.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dee.
Thank you.
Geez, that looks good, doesn't it? Curtis?
It does. She's done a really nice job. The presentation's beautiful.
And great, and look, there looks like there's some char on the broccolini stems. Steak looks well cooked. Bernays is well held together. Chips are golden. Hello.
The steak's cooked really beautifully. Medium rare, nice char on the outside, pink on the middle. A couple of little details that she's missed, like the mustard seeds that didn't even make it onto the plate. But for the most part, it's a really good rendition of the beef and Bernays.
The Bernays, it's not really Bernays for me. It's not got that punch of tarragon, it's not acidic enough, and it's a little heavy, which makes it fatty.
so interesting because actually, as a presentation, when it came up here, I looked at it and went, wow, that looks spectacular. But it has a few issues.
Certainly lots of crispy bits in there.
I left all the crispy bits on because they're my favourite bits.
The crunchy bits are delicious. The richness of that sauce is great. There's a nice hit of quality whiskey in there, which is unusual, but I think it works really well with the chips. And, you know, put that on a menu in Scotland and you'd have a queue 100 miles long.
Put that on a menu anywhere. I think that tastes great.
George, how do they go on the diplometer?
Very, very good. It's redlining.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Great stuff.
Thank you.
Work, Eloise. Ask for Eloise.
Today I'm cooking oven roasted chips. I'm going to do a roasted garlic mayonnaise.
My chips are all on the go. I've got my garlic in the oven, which is going to be for my roasted garlic aioli, but I start questioning whether that might be just a little bit too simple. So my brain starts ticking over and I think I might make a smoky whiskey sauce instead. I've grabbed some vinegar, tomato, apples and whiskey. I blitzed up my apples with some vinegar and water, added that to the tomato and just get that reducing and thickening as well. I've chosen these flavours because my dream is to have a whiskey and dessert bar and I really, really love incorporating whiskey with food. I know that this particular one I've chosen is really smoky and really delicious and I think it's going to work amazingly well as a dipping sauce for chips. I go to check my chips in the oven and they're really not looking good. My chips haven't cooked properly and I am starting to feel really nervous.
I've got chips in the oven which are not going brown, so I'm just not really sure where I am right now.
But my fryer's on, so I chuck them in the deep fryer. I've got no other options left, so hopefully it's going to work out well.
7 minutes to go! 7 minutes!
My sauce is ready. I think it's got a really nice smoky flavour to it.
I'm happy with it. I really like it. I just hope the judges do.
I take the chips out of the freezer and get them back in really hot oil. Really important I've got enough time to do this because they need to be lovely and golden and crispy on the outside.
I'm triple cooking these chips. They've been fried once already and sat in the freezer. They come out and they're ready for their final fry. The judges questioned Kipfler potatoes. The Kipflers might not be the best choice for frying. They look pretty good, but I'm worried about how they are inside. I taste one and they're still pretty waxy and floury in the middle. Just a touch longer. I'm thinking I've chosen the wrong potato.
Because I had to start my chips all over again, I've wasted a lot of time. So I'm only now deep frying my pot-boiled chips for the first time.
Come on, Missy.
It's not colouring.
I'm just worried they're not going to be as crispy.
It's waiting.
So I crank up the heat to 190 degrees and just hope for the best for them.
I've got 2 different lots of crisps and chips on the go, and I'm still trying to work out which one will work out best in the end. I've got some beautiful crisps, but my chips are not browning up.
2 minutes to go! Come on, 2 minutes!
I pull out the basket, and they look amazing.
They're looking so good. Okay.
I'm so relieved. I didn't think that a chip could cause so much stress.
Chips and dips in 1 minute! Come on, guys!
My chips are not as golden as what I want them to be, but I'm hoping they'll be crispy enough to actually get me through.
30 seconds!
My hot chips aren't crunchy, and I'm just so confused about what to do. I grab my chips and put them in the bowl instead of using my crisps, and I just hope I've made the right decision.
Let's go! 10 seconds! 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up!
Step away from your chips!
What a brilliant cook. Who would have thought chips and dips could be so exciting? And exciting for us because we're about to taste. So, Aram, I think you'll be first.
Aaron,
Hi.
so chips barbecue sauce, yes?
Yes, they're triple cooked chips. I boiled them first, then cooked them at 160 in oil to seal them, and then crunched them up at the last minute.
But then, you know, the problem is when things are as crunchy as that, everything goes out of our mind other than must eat.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, fair enough.
Gee, I really like that.
That's what makes chips addictive, is just, it is absolutely the crunch, isn't it?
But that sauce is smoky and balanced well, the right amount of heat. It's just delicious. And the right dippiness. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Dippiness is important.
There is a dipometer, and that's...
Yeah, on the dipometer scale.
Stand up.
Great. Get me away from them now.
Yeah. Nice work.
It feels really good to get feedback like this. I had such a good time cooking, and the fact that judges love it as well, it's just the best feeling. It's really good.
The sauce I know is really good, but these chips are questionable. I know inside they're going to be a little tough.
Benjamin.
Hello, gents.
Kind of excited about this one. Chips and curry sauce.
Childhood memories for you.
It is a little bit.
I've used Kipfler potatoes.
That's a great curry sauce. But for me, the sauce is not the issue.
Just not crispy. Brown, but not crispy.
So waxy, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, look, I don't love it. I don't love it at all. The potatoes are soggy, so the joy of taking that crispy chip, putting it into a hot curry sauce is kind of lost on me.
Wrong choice of potato.
Nicole.
I've made polenta crusted chips with a porcini mayo.
Really, I've never thought of that. Polenta on the outside of the chip and frying it. Great idea.
Sam, what's the dish?
Twice cooked chips with a chicken and rosemary gravy.
Even though they're pale, I can still hear some crunching going on. And I love the idea of gravy.
Tamara?
So I've done hot chips with chili jam and a mayo.
That and that together are really yum. Samuel?
Done thrice cooked chips with a tomato chutney and aioli.
That is fantastic.
You could cook us lunch later, maybe that with some steamed fish.
Go ahead, Samuel.
As the judges come up to my bench, I am worried about the crispiness. That's essential to chips. You really need that crunchy texture.
So, Josh, when I came round about 12 minutes to go, your baked chips weren't crisping up.
I decided to put them in the deep fryer to give a nice crispy texture.
So you blanched them, you baked them, you grilled them, and you fried them. So you actually invented now, not the thrice cooked trip, but the quadruple cooked trip.
Sure, I'll run with that.
Give us the name of the dish.
Sweet potato and potato chips with horseradish mayo.
Fact, did you cooking the chips in that pan?
Mostly butter.
They're not that crispy.
I love the sweet potato chips.
Yep.
They're delicious.
But we've had some problems with the actual potato chips.
I knew my mistake in the chips. I just can't believe that I made that mistake in the MasterChef kitchen.
I'm waiting for the judges to come up to my bench, and I'm so nervous. I'm shaking like a leaf, and I'm terrified.
Louise?
Hi.
What is it?
This is twice cooked chips with a whiskey sauce.
A whiskey sauce. What else is in the sauce?
I had some tomato passata and some apples, which I stewed and then pureed through.
You pleased?
Considering it wasn't what I initially intended to do, I'm happy with how it's turned out.
Certainly lots of crispy bits in there.
I left all the crispy bits on because they're my favourite bits.
The crunchy bits are delicious. The richness of that sauce is great. There's a nice hit of quality whiskey in there, which is unusual, but I think it works really well with the chips. And, you know, put that on a menu in Scotland and you'd have a queue 100 miles long.
Put that on a menu anywhere. I think that tastes great.
George, how do they go on the dipometer?
Very, very good. It's redlining.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Great stuff.
Thank you.
Work, Eloise.
I'm not sure if my chips are going to be crunchy enough today, but I'm hoping my nacho-style dips will actually get me through.
Pia, What have you cooked?
Nacho-style chili chips, a fresh salsa, grated cheese, and avocado dip.
Go on then, load them up.
Load them up? Okay. Oh my gosh.
I think all that's great and it's quite nostalgic, but this was about chips and dips.
Yep.
The chips aren't crispy and aren't what they should be. You know that.
Yep.
All right, Jess.
So I've made a roast garlic hummus with a balsamic and pomegranate glaze and twice cooked pink salt chips.
The centre is undercooked because it needs to be steaming and fluffy, doesn't it? And then you've got, oh.
These look amazing.
Oh.
If you'd nixed them, put them on there, you would have given us a totally different take on chips and dip. But sadly, you didn't put these chips out. Put those ones out.
Yep.
I'm just worried because my chips aren't golden brown and I just feel like I haven't done my best.
Michelle.
What's the dish?
Chips with tomato sauce, feta crumbles, and parsley.
The sauce is delicious, and actually I like it as an idea. I like the flavours, but you got problems with the chips. There's very little crispiness in amongst those, and some of them actually are quite soggy, to be honest.
Yeah.
You're in trouble as far as I'm concerned.
I agree with the judges that the chips haven't cooked properly. I'm just worried I'm going to be in the bottom 4.
Obviously today we were looking sadly for the bottom 4. If I call your name, please step forward. Jess. Josh. Benjamin. And Michelle. Michelle, Josh, Jess, Benjamin, you're in round 2 where you're fighting for your place in this competition. The rest of you, well done, up to the game.
I'm going to start off with some flour, plain flour at 360 grams. And then we've got some baking powder, about 15 grams of that. And then some salt, about 20 grams of salt. So obviously the flour, we know what we're going to use. The flour, the baking powder, obviously, is going to create a little bit more gas, which will make the batter lighter, and then obviously seasoning. Now here, at the restaurant, we use some fairly advanced type of starches, which aren't that easy to get hold of. So mix all these in. Right, so that's the dry part ready. And now I need to add my liquid. So what I'm going to do is add 375 grams of beer. And then the same, about 375 grams of sparkling water. Okay, then give all that, give that a mix. Again, one of the key things to this recipe is getting enough CO2 in there, getting enough stuff that's going to create gas, which will then expand the batter, so you'll get a much sort of lighter, more bubbly texture. And it's important to work quite quickly at this point, because you want to sort of keep as much of the fizz in the batter as possible. Can you feel the tension? So now, once that's gassed up, bowl of flour, plain flour, and another bowl for the batter. I'm going to use Bass Groper. Just very classical technique. Just dip it in flour first. And then for the batter, so now what you've got here, you're a very, very light aerated batter. Here we go. Coat the fish into the oil. What I want to do with this is just spread some more, and then when you be careful in the oil, just pulse it, pulse it, pulse it, pulse it, pulse it. If you dip it straight in, it'll shoot the fresh batter off. And you can just build up these beautiful layers of batter. Once it's hard enough to support itself, flip the fish over, which I'll do now. So I'm doing the same thing on the other side.
Good batter to fish ratio.
Just layering the batter on. So while that's finishing off, we're going to serve this with a recipe of mine that you guys probably never have heard of, triple cooked chips. And you know the main things, you cut your potatoes, rinse the starch off, cook them in water, cook them for long enough until they start to break up. See these little bits like this? That's really important because fat only goes into a potato where there's a crack. It won't go in otherwise. And chips without fat, well, you might as well eat something else.
Oh.
There, so if you can see now, all those bubbles that have come up from that batter, the fish is nicely protected.
That's a steak. That is a steak.
I'm just going to leave that rest because now there's enough steam built up on the inside. The thinner part will be done, the thicker part, another minute or 2 minutes. So just leave that and that should just finish off cooking. And then, so we're back to the chips. You've done this, you've created those cracks, lift out of the water, very delicate. You chill them down, then you cook them in oil. Then the first fry, 130 degrees, and you just then gelatinize this starch that's collected on the outside, firms up the chip, and then the final cooking, 180. Okay, so that's the fish ready. So to finish this off, I've got some of the triple cook chunky chips. In here, it's mushy peas. So these are flash frozen peas. All they've done is warmed up, crushed them with butter, salt, pepper, and mint. And that's it. And then, it's the SAS of the fish and chip fish. And then I'm serving that with, which for me is the smell of a fish and chip shop from my childhood. It's just the juice from pickled onions. Okay, Laura, Ben. Okay, so let's just cut into this fish and see. Oh yeah. So
crunchy.
Not bad, Hester.
Right, and then welcome to my chippy.
Superb.
Right, so there's my perfect fish and chips. It takes me back to my childhood and my love of the chippy. Thank you. Now, I'm going to show you one of my favourite drinks. I love skiing, and the best things you can have in a cold, up a cold mountain is a hot chocolate. But this hot chocolate is a Black Forest Gatto hot chocolate. So a few years ago, I did a whole show on Black Forest Gatto. Went to Germany, Baden-Baden. Oh, hello.
I heard Black Forest Gatto, so I thought, and I could smell chocolate, so I'm coming in. Carry on, good man.
Two most important things, Black Forest Gatto. It's chocolate, it's cherries, it's kirsch, it's cream. So what we're going to do, first off, in here, I made a ganache. I've used two different types of chocolate. One's got slightly citrusy notes. The other chocolate has got red fruit notes to it. slightly plummy. And with the ganache, melt the chocolate, bring the milk up to a simmer, pour the milk onto the chocolate, and you end up with this ganache that is so, so creamy. We've also added some orange zest, some lime zest, a bit of grapefruit zest. We've added a little bit of coffee for the bitter notes, and then we've added some cherry sauce. So we've done that, we've infused that mixture, and that is basically our hot chocolate base. And on top of that, we're going to have a cream. For the cream, actually, Gaz, can I?
Yeah. So you've got a specific white chocolate here?
Yes.
And just mix the whole thing?
Yeah, three-thirds. Once you've had that's incorporated, Gaz, can you add some cream?
Yep.
Just some whipping cream. And once the cream's in, I'm going to add kirsch. Do you guys know what kirsch, tasted or smelled kirsch before?
Jamie is the barman, so I'm sure he knows what kirsch is, but for the rest of you, kirsch is a cherry brandy. Cream all at once?
Cream all at once, yep. For me, the smell of the Black Forest is kirsch. Absolutely kirsch. Amelia, once you smell that, can you come over and just chuck that in that bain-marie, please? And then finally, a bit of truffle oil.
Okay.
So we just put a... And then pop that into a siphon, and we'll keep that warm. That's going to be a warm white chocolate, kirsch, and white truffle mousse to sit on top of the hot chocolate.
OK, Heston, I'll change the siphon while you get on with the cloud element.
In here, I have a mix of water that I've dissolved cocoa nibs and just left it for a few hours. Dissolve that and then added to that some more kirsch and some chocolate liqueur. So this is going to form a cloud. It'll be a cloud of kirsch, believe it or not, that sits on top of the chocolate, the white chocolate mousse. So making the cloud with one of these, it's a very special piece of kit called a cloud pourer. It's a beaker. The lid, there's a little basket underneath. So I'm popping into this little basket pieces of dry ice. Dry ice in there, pop that onto the lid, and then into this beaker pour the water, kirsch, nib cocoa, and chocolate liqueur mix. So what should happen when you do this?
Oh my God.
There, you got that smell. Oops.
Oh, see what you mean. Oh my God. See you later. What that is, it's just like boom. You know, there's chocolate, there's cherry, there's... You know, that was fantastic.
I pour the chocolate into the... And just putting it all together now. Okay, so now...
It's like making an Irish coffee, Heston.
I know, I'm concentrating very hard. Then squeeze the foam in. That's it. Then, on top of that, I'll just take a little bit of chocolate shavings. OK, so we've got the chocolate ganache infused with the kirsch and the zest and the coffee, all served with a kirsch cloud.
And we'll serve that with a shortbread biscuit on the side.
OK, so what I'll do, I'll come around this side. So, do you want to take this? I shall pour and then go back and sit down. So hold the glass, that's it, now we'll pour the cloud on and then just sip through it.
Oh, that glass. I gotta sip.
So now sit.
That's freaking incredible.
Do you want to pass it on?
No.
I'll
Yum.
always pour that way, yes, not that way, because you've got the liquid in, that's it.
Sure, go.
What a spectacular way to finish off masterclass. And I think while you're finishing that off, boys, and going crazy, I think we should give a big round of applause for Heston for coming in. And here's to the finale, the finals week of MasterChef 2014. And here's to Heston Blumenthal. Brilliant stuff. Best of luck.
So what we're going to do today is a really simple dish, but something really delicious and healthy, is snapper cooked in a bag. It's a very classical technique. I mean, it's called...
en papillote in French, which just means in paper.
So to serve with our steamed snapper in a bag, we're going to do something really amazing and probably the best in the world, chunky chips.
First thing we're going to do is we're going to fillet the snapper. Now, a few of you had enormous trouble filleting this fish. Hands up who had trouble. Aaron, up you come. We're going to do it together. The first thing we're going to do is identify where the skull, if you like, finishes on the head, which is sort of at a 55-degree angle, and going in underneath that pectoral fin there. And you're going to come right the way through. Not too hard, just to score the line, basically. Then you're going to turn it over, and you're going to do exactly the same thing. Find the back of the head. So behind the skull, that's right. So now we've cut the flesh, we're just going to go through that bone just to remove the head. That's the central spine along there. And you basically draw a line, feeling where the spine goes. The secret with fish is very sharp knife and long, fluid slicing movements, not jaggedy sort of chopping, cutting movements, right? So what you're doing very gently is you're teasing until you find that spine. You finding where you're going?
Yeah.
Where you're at the tail, just slice to release that tail. And just above the spine, we just need to release, because there's some little bones that come up. And all you're doing is you're just popping through those little bones, right, until your fish fillet comes off. Now we need to remove these little sort of belly bones, okay? So knife under like that, and remove the bone. That's it. When you look at the fish, there's going to be that little line of ribs, so I'm feeling where the bone is. You find the first one, and then pull it out, feel where the next bone is. But see what I'm doing is I'm supporting the flesh of the fish as I'm pulling the bone out. Because as you can see, really nasty little things, you know? Imagine swallowing that. Andre? Oh, and the last thing is just to make sure that there's no scales.
Is it easy to fillet with the scales on?
Look, snapper's a bit different because they've got such strong sort of central bones that they'll poke through the flesh. But if you're doing a salmon, for example, you'd scale the fish while it was whole and then you'd fillet it. Otherwise, you end up with scales everywhere. Look, that's not a bad job, mate.
Cheers,
Sit back down, Mr. Fish Filleter. It's not that hard. It's just you've got to use those very clean sweeps of the knife. So next thing we're going to do is the snapper en papillote, all right? Two things, foil, and put the shiny side in, because it reflects the heat in, and then paper, pretty much the same length as the foil. So we fold that in half, and I'm just going to round the edges off. Touch of olive oil, a little bit of salt, just add that bit of seasoning, and then the first snapper fillet, and we're going to put a touch of ginger, and a little bit of chilli, and then the second fillet over the top, a bit more ginger. And then I'm going to put some really, really fine slices of garlic, so it's packing a big punch. And the olive oil and the soy, it's just going to create like a vinaigrette as such inside the bag. So as it steams, it'll cook it very, very gently. So what we do is we fold over, and what we're doing is we're making a fold at 45 degrees. The advantage of cooking it in a bag is the fact that it's steaming it gently, okay? So it's a very gentle, soft method of cookery. But the advantage is that it keeps all the juices and all the flavours in and around that fish. So all we do now is pop that on a tray. I'm just going to throw a bit of heat under that tray just to start off that cooking process. And it'll puff the bag up a wee bit, and it's going to go in the oven for about 6 minutes.
What temperature?
About 180. All right, so nice and gentle. And then a rest, and it should be cooked perfectly.
OK, to serve with our snapper, we're going to do something simple. I think it's the most eaten dish in the world, a simple chip, yeah? It does sound simple, but there's a couple of things that you really need to understand about producing the best chip. OK, so I'm just blocking the potatoes first, so that literally means, you know, taking taking sides off and producing a rectangle. So we're just cutting up our chips here, our chunky chips. And they all do need to be the same size. So they all cook evenly. Okay, so our potatoes are in our cold water in a pot. We've got some salt in there and they go on the heat, on high. And basically we bring the potatoes up to the boil. Rule of thumb, any vegetable that grows in the ground needs to be started in cold water, okay? Not hot water.
Anything that grows above the ground, it's got chlorophyll in it, particularly like, say, broccoli, beans, snow peas, goes into boiling salted water.
Okay, so once the potatoes are cooked, they need to go on a tray and into your fridge. So these are our cooked potatoes. It's really important if you can try and keep them in the fridge for more than half a day. The reason why is what we want to effectively get is a really dry crust around the potato. Okay, and once they hit hot fat, okay, they crisp up, and hence we get that really sexy, delicious effect in our mouth. Now, next step, it's quite simple. Peanut oil, okay, is probably the best oil to cook chips in. Why? It's quite healthy, and you know, this myth about chips being fatty, they're fatty if they're sitting in the oil at a low temperature where they're really soaking up the oil. The key is to keep them crispy and cook them quick. Okay, so we sit in a temperature around 130 degrees. Okay, that's probably the best temperature for a chip. Is there any questions, guys, while we're cooking these chips?
Say you're doing calamari or other things like that take, like calamari takes a minute. Do you change the oil, or is it 130 at all?
Calamari I'd do in a canola oil. I wouldn't bother doing it in a peanut oil. I just find peanut oils it holds its heat really well.
The actual temperature of the oil, though, does it change?
It should be hotter, around 180, 170, 180. Because remember, you want to cook it quick, boom, in and out. Right, so these chips are sort of standing up and telling me they're ready because they're nice and golden and crispy. I can feel they're crispy by just slowly, gently moving my slotted spoon through there. As soon as they come out of the fryer, onto absorbent paper and season them with salt. So, Gary, if you could do the honours. And
they look really, really good, George. I'm not sure they're going to make it to the table. Right, so I'll get the fish out, George.
Yep.
Right. So we're going to plate our fish up. So I actually enjoy serving this in the paper bag.
So can I do the honours?
What, you want to...
and sniff away?
So I'm just getting a bit of a foothold. Oh, it smells good, doesn't it?
That's delicious.
So what's happened is that fish has just cooked and it's released some of the juices from the fish. And I'm just going to put some spring onions and a little bit of coriander, just because we eat with our eyes. And it looks pretty good. It smells absolutely lovely.
And our chips can go into a little...
So there we have it. That's our snapper en papillote, which means, you know, in paper, with these lovely best chips in the world from George. Lovely, crispy, crunchy chips. My top tip in terms of using a fish for en papillote would be buy fresh fish, fill it carefully, no bones, and remember you need that resting time as well. So it's not 6 minutes in the oven and straight to the guest. It's 6 minutes in the oven, a couple of minutes, and then to the table.
So my top tips for making the perfect chips are bring your potatoes up to the boil. Once they're cooked, drain them, place them on a tray, and dry them out in your fridge. And then cooking them in a peanut oil at a temperature of between sort of 130 and 140 degrees.
OK, Andre, let's get up here and see if you can find a bone in that fish. Dig in, mate.
You idiot.
That's beautiful.
OK, Sandra, up you come.
Do I make the best chips in the world?
You do, George. You are the best.
Stop it.